still think smart owners and smart businessmen will spend what will make them competitive in their market or their business, in this case, in their league. It's not like they're going to go buy PSG's team to compete in this league.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what they're going to do, right? They're not going to buy Man City's team to compete in this league, but they will bring better players.
So Don Garber hints at changes to help some FIFA Club World Cup teams. And his quote was, "We're working on ways that we can provide each team with some opportunity to be more competitive." That's really generic, and there's a lot to unpack with that general of a statement. He also added, well, we'll get into Leagues Cup participation in a second, but with that particular quote, when I think about salary cap rules, because it's not going to look good, Tones, and we discussed this a little bit, if we go into the FIFA Club World Cup and our two participants, Seattle Sounders, Inter Miami, get slapped around. And so I wonder what they can do in the short term to alleviate that. That ultimately could benefit the whole league. If you think about the salary cap, if you just raise the floor so that teams have to spend an X amount, but then also raise the ceiling at the same time so that the teams that do want to spend can, then I think there's room to solve that problem. But it seems like MLS doesn't want to take off those salary cap handcuffs to that level just yet. Or at least that's how I'm feeling.
And does that be, Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, but there are a certain percentage of owners that don't want to spend X amount of money more than what they're spending now versus the ones that say, hey, open my checkbook. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to spend whatever it takes, not only to win, but to make our club a more entertaining club for our supporters and bringing in experienced players, but also young, diamonds in the rough to, players that are in the middle of their career, a lot of potential. And I think there are a number of owners who are holding the rest back from that happening.
Yeah, I've long said, and this is 15 years I've been on this soapbox. You guys know I'm a baseball fan, right? So I follow baseball really closely. And when they instituted, no,
we need some Juan Soto numbers here.
Stop, Jimmy, you're killing me today. Not today, man. Maybe tomorrow with that. But if they instituted a luxury tax, I think it would solve a lot of problems. So essentially what baseball did was you have a salary cap, and I think when they started it was 180 million, right? Which we're not even close to that. But if teams like my Yankees wanted to spend more, so every dollar you spent more than 180 million, you were basically spending $2, right? So it cost you $2 for every dollar. So if you wanted to spend 200 million, then you were really spending 220 million because that other 20 counted as $2. And back in the day, the argument was what they didn't want was this going back to the league and owners just putting it in their pocket, right? The fight was, okay, we'll spend a luxury tax, but it has to go into your roster. You have to buy players with it. You can't put the money in your pocket. And we've taken off the training wheels, the little training wheels, and we still have some portion of a training wheel on, right? And we need to eventually get, because there are owners in Atlanta, there's owners in Miami, obviously, there's owners all over that are willing to go and spend. I don't think if they take it off, the thing goes like hog wild, because I still think smart owners and smart businessmen will spend what will make them competitive in their market or their business, in this case, in their league. It's not like they're going to go buy PSG's team to compete in this league.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what they're going to do, right? They're not going to buy Man City's team to compete in this league, but they will bring better players. To your point, Jimmy, about the roster, you can't just improve the teams that are playing in the Club World Cup. You got to allow everybody to improve at the same level. Yeah.
Right. So for those that don't know, kind of catching up here on the latest numbers, each club has 5.4 million for the first 20 roster slots, and that's known as the senior roster.
What do you think it should be? Double that?
Yes.
Do you think at least double that?
Please.
Because
yes.
I'm trying to think in a European roster, if you're trying to compete with, let's say, the likes of Copenhagen who play in Champions League, or the likes of, a Europa League team in Syria or Bundesliga, right? and you say, you know what? I would leave that if an MLS team could pay my salary or double my salary. And maybe, let's say I'm on 500,000 in one of these clubs, but I'm playing in Europe, so I feel that's But if you doubled my salary to $1 million, I would leave as a 25, 26-year-old who's established, because maybe, for whatever reason, I'm not going to take that next step to solidify my spot in a French national team or a Spanish national team. One of these top national teams where you say, all right, I know my limit. I'm not going to surpass whoever's in my position. So I'm kind of enjoying the game. I want to be competitive, but I'm also thinking about the future. If an MLS team could come in and pay someone 2/3 more than what they're making, that's the difference. That's the difference of getting up there at that level, sure. Right? And so
for sure.
I'm thinking if they double that, then you have the chance to have a stronger starting 11, or just you have a more depth, right?
You have more depth, yeah.
Right.
So you can compete
5 or 6 more super solid players that could be starters.
Yeah, which would make a huge difference. A huge difference. Mm-hmm. I mean, Saudi Arabia is a good example of going overboard, right? And paying players 2, 3, 4 times more. But you saw enough players that were like, wait, why would they go there? So money can turn heads, I mean, the allure of Europe, I thought, got a hole poked into it a little bit. Once
they go there for a year though, and they're like, get me the hell out of here for the most part.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, I do think at the minimum, getting it up to 10 million, it just feels simple. Like the floor is 10 million, you can spend up to whatever, and then you have your 3. I don't know if you could lose the designated player. Right now, clubs can acquire up to 3 players with the total compensation acquisition costs that exceed the maximum salary budget charge. So you can get 3 of those. Lionel Messi's the most obvious. 20 million more he's making a year, doesn't hit their what does it hit the salary cap by, like $500,000? And then you have the TAM and the GAM and the green eggs and ham. I'm not even going to get into the complications of that. But ultimately, if you raise the floor of the salary cap, and then you could put a ceiling in there or have a luxury tax, like Tony's saying, then I think you get yourself into a conversation where you're going to be more competitive for all the reasons that you mentioned. Tones, any last thoughts on this?
Yeah, with a luxury cap, it'll allow some of those other teams a luxury tax fee. It allows some of those other teams to actually get more money from the teams that are spending, as long as they put it back into their roster.
Right.
But the problem becomes, like, there will be eventually someone that sits around just waiting for the luxury tax to make their team better, right? So there's some complications with it. But yeah, we got to
spend in the first place.
Yeah, but you're forced now to spend it, right? So you've agreed now that you're going to take this tax. You can't put it in your pocket. That was the big fight in Major League Baseball for about 2 years, where the George Steinbrenners of the world were worried about, hey, okay, I'm going to give you part of this money, but I need you to spend it in your roster. You can't go have dinner with it, right? You can't go buy another airplane with it. You need to spend it on players, because this is what it's for. I'm paying a tax for players that I brought in. You're going to go buy players with it. You're going to spend it on players. Yeah, but to Charlie's point, like, is it double? Is it triple? It's so hard to figure out, because we have basically 6 spots that essentially don't count on the salary cap, right? We have the 6 DPs, whether you use 2 senior DPs and 4 young DPs under 23, or you do 3 and 3. You have that choice now in the league. So there's so many ways to slice it. We are growing, but I still think we need to grow a little bit more. And of course, we're here spending a lot of money of the owners, right? Like we're really good at that, spending the owner's money, right?
Again, to reference what we saw earlier with the LA Galaxy, what we talked about a little bit earlier, they have definitely laid a blueprint for how to have success and build a roster with these new rules, and maybe with some more additional money, they can help them be more competitive in more competitions.